let's talk about this Chelsea Dortmund game. Chelsea's odds on at home -110. Dortmund's 3-1 on the road. The draw is +260. The aggregate here 1-0 to Dortmund to advance. Dortmund -175. Chelsea +125. Interestingly, Dortmund 33-1 to win the whole tournament, and Chelsea's 20-1. I mean that probably just comes down to the fact that more money is coming on Chelsea here in the States by a pretty wide margin than Dortmund. Plus, I mean, it's just it's about their pedigree more than anything. So I wouldn't read too much into that. It is an interesting footnote. Chelsea coming off a impressive showing. They finally got rewarded for some decent process with a 1-0 win against Leeds. Once again, though, only one goal, which is a little concerning. They've got one goal in their last 3 Premier League matches, and 4 if you want to throw in the Dortmund match as well. And if you want to go back even further than that, 2 goals in there since January 21st in the Premier League. That's 6 matches. So they just can't score, which makes it a little tough when they're chasing the match. That said, the number at Dortmund, I wish it was just a little bit bigger on the 3-way line, because then I would get there. It could be chaos, though. Graham Potter's first time also in this situation, which I find interesting. BJ, what do you think?
Yeah, I bet the over in the first match, and after watching it, I said I would definitely bet the over again, 100 times out of 100. And so I'm going to do it again here in the second leg. So we had 3.5 expected goals created in that first leg, 2.1 of which by Chelsea. They hit the bar. They did everything possible to not score in that match. I mean, Felix had so many opportunities. And what became very evident early on is that, Potter obviously likes to slow things down and be very possession based, but they found out very early on that the way to exploit Dortmund is to get at them in transition, which also plays into Dortmund's favor because they're very good in transition offense. So it ended up being like a very end-to-end style match. It was very entertaining to watch. And I expect pretty much the same thing in this type of match. And the thing about it is Chelsea, they did an excellent job pressing Dortmund. It's something they've done very, very good all season long. So in that match, they had a passes per defensive action of 6.4. They forced 9 high turnovers. And right now, Graham Potter's side is the number 1 team in the Premier League in passes per defensive action. They're also top 6 in high turnovers and progressive passes and dribbles allowed. So they really in that first leg, and what's something that Potter historically has done well at Brighton is he's had a great set piece offense. Dortmund is a really bad set piece defense. They've been improving in the Bundesliga, but at one point they were dead last in XG per set piece. And in the first leg, Chelsea put up half an expected goal off a set piece. And it's funny how media narratives get built, right? In this match, Reece James almost, puts a free kick in the back of the net. Chelsea goes and takes a corner. The ball pinballs around. Dortmund does an overhead kick to Ademi. He beats Enzo in a one-on-one, scores, and suddenly Graham Potter needs to be sacked and Chelsea sucks. When the reality is Chelsea was creating chance after chance after chance, and just nothing was going in the back of the net. There is something interesting for Dortmund here. Kobal, their starting goalkeeper, it looks like he's out for this match, which means Alexander Meyer's going to be in net. That is a massive downgrade. He's only played 590s this season in the Bundesliga. He has a -3.6 post-shot XG plus minus. So you have that working in against Dortmund's favor. And, Dortmund obviously showed Chelsea's vulnerabilities in transition. They obviously exploited them very, very well there. And Dortmund is not the style team that's just going to say, all right, we'll sit back in our 2 low blocks and we're not going to come out and you can just basically have the ball and pass it around or whatever. No, Dortmund's very, very good when the game becomes transitional. So I don't really expect them, maybe early on there'll be a feeling out point, but I think as the match progresses, Dortmund will turn this into a transitional end-to-end type match. And especially if Chelsea scores first, which they're very overdue to score 2 goals in their last 7 off of 9.6 expected. I'm expecting a big time over game, honestly, a lot of chances either end. So I'm hoping these chances go in this time. I do have 2.9 goals projected. So over 2.5 at -110 is good enough for me.
One other interesting note too is like Chelsea -110 to win on the 3-way line, but +125 to advance. So if you are interested in the -110 on the 3-way line, I would just go ahead and take the advance line. I know that they can, win and then go to overtime or extra time and then lose, but I think you take that risk for the extra money there, or the better odds. Anthony, What are your thoughts here on Dortmund and Chelsea?
Yeah, I agree. I think if you like Chelsea here, instead of taking the money line, take the 2 advance, because I think there's a lot more worlds where Chelsea, finds the back of the net a bunch of times and runs away with this. Or even if they get to extra time, I would make Chelsea a pretty solid favorite to advance at that point as well. Of course, there is the risk that they lose on like a penalty shootout, but I think they have more depth in attack than Dortmund, especially given the injuries for Dortmund right now. And so I'm actually going to take some Chelsea to advance. Plus one, there's plus 132 out there, what I just bet a minute ago. So there's a few things. BJ mentioned it with Kobel. He is expected to miss. It's not just him, though. Adeyemi is going to miss. That's a big loss. Now, Chelsea has some injury issues of their own. Thiago Silva went off injured. He's not going to play in this match. So you worry a little bit about Chelsea defensively because of that. But they also might have N'Golo Kante back off the bench, which, if a game is close late, Conte being out there could be a huge boost. I know he has not played in a long time, but just his presence seems to really make things click for Chelsea. Reece James looks like he's out too, but like Chelsea has the depth to kind of make up for that. And I think, Dortmund has won every match since the World Cup break. They are 10 for 10. They're 8 wins in the Bundesliga. They won their Champions League match. They won their Pokal match. So you have to get a little bit lucky to win, 10 in a row. They're getting unreal production from Julian Brandt right now. But I think we kind of saw the flaws against Leipzig when they try to sit deep and absorb pressure. It's really bad. I mean, they let Leipzig kind of just have the ball, and they had no resistance to stopping balls from coming in from all directions. Miracle that they got away with a win in that match when all things were said and done. And it wasn't the first time that this has happened for Dortmund, where I think they've gone a little bit too conservative, a little bit too quickly, and it's really hurt them. It hasn't hurt them, but it should have hurt them. You can even go back, to the win against Hoffenheim, where at the very end of the match, I mean, Hoffenheim had chance after chance after chance to score. Even in this first leg with Chelsea, same thing. They stole 2 late wins against Augsburg and Mainz earlier in this winning run. So, there's been a lot of bounces that have gone Dortmund's way, and I think it's created a little bit of an inflated perception on them. And yeah, I think Chelsea's process is still pretty fine. At home, Potter, the defensive possession does worry me a little bit. Like they could just get, stuck doing too much of that. But I do think ultimately, if Dortmund comes in with the plan of kind of just absorbing pressure, I think they're gonna fold, especially with Meyer in goal. And so I like Chelsea to advance. I think they're gonna turn this. And it really comes down to finishing variance. I mean, even in the first half against Leeds, it was free header from Fofana from 5 yards out over the bar. Felix hits the underside of the crossbar and it bounces right back out. And then Havertz misses a one-on-one, and then I forget who it was, but somebody else had a chance for a pass for a tap in. He missed the pass by like a yard.
He took 2 touches when he should have taken 1 and just passed it to Felix.
Yeah, and Havertz is short on confidence right now, but we've seen this movie too many times. We've talked about this enough on this show. Like eventually they will go in, and
not if you're Timo Werner.
Timo's having a decent season.
Yeah, you have to transfer to. You have to go to a different team for them to start going in.
Yeah, maybe.
Well,
Darwin Nunez, though,
he's going to win the Champions League again.
Yeah, Timo, he is.
Yes, people forget. But yeah, no, I like Chelsea to turn this. I think they're going to, and I think the market's respecting Chelsea in the sense that that's why those odds are the way they are to win the whole thing. Like Chelsea just has
it's only one goal. It's only a 1 goal deficit, and they're coming home, so it's not like it's completely insurmountable for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that. That obviously that Chelsea Dortmund game for casuals is great, but the betting on Wednesday is a lot better.